Hi, this is Cindy from Wonder Strange, and today I'm going to show you how to watercolor a pumpkin. You can see I already have the boy pumpkin watercolored, and I'm going to paint in the face of his happy lady friend today. I'm just using a little set of transparent watercolors. You can get them at Michael's. They're a little better than kid grade ones, but they're not super expensive. And as you can see, they will take a lot of work. I popped the white one out because I used to let my kids use these and I didn't like them to use white watercolor, which you should never use because you've got white paper under there. So I'm going to start just with a little bit of yellow across the whole pumpkin lady. And I drew her already in pencil and then used a micron to ink it in. And I like to do the ink lines first. You can also just pencil it and then watercolor and ink over it, because a lot of times you lose some of your the bright ink and you have to go over anyway, but I don't mind doing it twice, so that is how I do it. I'm going to do yellow. You want to keep it very transparent with watercolors. You don't ever want to go all the way opaque, especially early on, because you cannot go backwards. You can always make them darker and you can't make them lighter. So you for sure want to go slowly. I'm just going to add some. You can leave a little bit of white showing, but I've mostly got her all covered up in yellow. I'm going to take a little bit of yellowish orange and I just mix it right in my tray, and you can see I'm not a very neat watercolorer, but it turns out all right. And then I'm going to start adding in a little bit of orange. Again, keep a lot of water. You definitely want it always to be see-through, and you want to feel your brush moving. If your brush starts to drag along and you start to see those brush marks, you need more water right away. Alternately, if it is so pale that you can't see it and you're leaving a puddle, you need a little more paint and a little less water. So I use the yellowy orange, and then I'm going to start going in and finding the places that I want to make look like they've got a little more shadow, like where the ridges of the pumpkin would be. So I'm making some kind of vertical lines. Make sure those follow the curve. Lots of times when I see people either painting or coloring in a pumpkin, they'll do one of these things and then they make the lines like that instead of lines that are following. So you always want them to follow the shape. So if you're painting something that is like a sphere, you want them to curve around it. I'm going to go with this kind of orangey red now. Oops, got a little black in there. That's okay. That happens. You can always just kind of mush it out on the sides there. I use the extra part of my paper a lot, or just another piece to clean it off on. So if you get that, you can use, if you're really neat about your paints, feel free to get yourself a paper towel for that part. Me, not so much. And then I'm going to add this darker in. And you'll find as you build those colors up, it's going to look much better than if you just started with like a medium orange and painted the whole entire thing the same. You want a little bit of variety in the colors you have and some shading. This is looking kind of dry there, so I've just put a little more water in. Now I'm going to let that part dry and go in and paint the little eye cut out in the mouth. And for that, I kind of use a little bit of brown and I just mix it up with some green. It makes sort of a dirtyish browny green color, which I like better than a plain brown. It almost makes like a khaki color to start with, but I like it better than either plain brown or like a green. Get those little guys in there. Now I'm doing this while the face dries because I'm going to go in later and add some kind of shadows on the face, and I want that to be dry enough that they're not going to really blend together. They're going to sit more on the top of those. So all those parts I'm leaving white, I know I'm going to want to go in and add the green on later, so I'm just leaving them for now. Orange is a secondary color. That means it's made out of two primaries, red and yellow. When you add the third primary, which in this case would be blue, you're going to get a nice shadow color for your orange. So anytime you've got your three primaries together, you get a kind of grayish color. And that's a good way to shade things. So for the orange, I'm using a little bit of a blue. And that looks better than adding on like a black, because it makes those colors all together. So you get all three primaries, red, yellow, and blue are in play, just in different amounts. There we go. Now I want our little stem and stuff to be a little more green. And I think mix those guys. And I think this is close to done. After he dries a little bit, I'll probably go in with my micron, clean those lines up a bit, and I may even add a little bit more intense with the blue. You can see I did it along on this guy. Just come along to really make that shadow kind of stand out on those eyes a little bit. Just go light on that at first, because like I said, you can never get rid of, you can't make it lighter. So if you go too dark, you can't get rid of it. And there's a watercolor pumpkin. Thank y'all.